Patrick again. It's been about a year since I made a video um, concerning my dizziness and anxiety symptoms that um, were present 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I have a couple thousand views and people asking me questions about once a week. So I thought it was time to make another video to give a little follow-up for my condition and some things that I've learned about it to try to help other people who are suffering and their friends and family. It's kind of late, so I'm keeping it a little quiet. But so to be brief about my progress so far, up until about a couple weeks ago, it was the same search for a singular medical reason for my problem. So bouncing back between migraines as an explanation, muscle tension as an explanation, or Lyme's disease, or some combination of that. It was about almost, it'll be 2 years in March that I've, since the symptoms first came on. So it was about a 21-month search through research on different medical conditions, trying to find one that fit what I was experiencing. And what I came to realize was that dizziness wasn't exactly the best way to describe the way I was feeling. So I was researching online and I came across the phenomenon of depersonalization, which is something that usually goes along with anxiety. And I think that, for me, describes it better, what I feel, than dizziness, because it's not so much like a sensation of not being balanced, but more feeling like in a dream state and outside of the world. So I came across an author who seemed to really make a lot of sense about the depersonalization and what it has to do with anxiety. And I got this book, A Life at Last, by Paul David. It's really good. I would highly recommend it. It's really helped me. I'm not a salesman for this guy, but I would recommend it, and I can try to give you a basic overview of his thesis and what how it pertains to me. So basically, he suffered for, I think, 10 years from social anxiety, and a lot of the physical symptoms that I hear complaints from other people on YouTube, and I myself complain about, ranging from migraines to not being able to sleep to shaking hands to dizziness and that sort of thing. And he seemed to think that it was all a result of anxiety. And that's why, for those of you out there that spend a lot of time, for me, for instance, at least half the day thinking about what you can do to get better. So just that alone, just the thinking about how to get better, is so exhausting that that's enough to cause the anxiety, which can cause some of those symptoms. And then the anxiety is compounded by being anxious about the symptoms that are caused by you searching for the explanation for those symptoms themselves. So it's really cyclical. I kind of realized that was happening, but it wasn't until I read, I'm like halfway through this, that I was able to convince myself that that's what it was. Um, so he's, as someone who experienced like the depersonalization, which I've been calling dizziness for the past year or so, but I think depersonalization makes more sense. He thinks, and most any of you who have felt the way that I have can back me up on this, is that you feel more, what's going on inside your mind is more real than what's going on in front of you. So you can be having a conversation with someone, and like your like abstract thoughts will seem more real to you than the conversation you're having with them about something that's happening. So whatever is going on in your mind, it could be paranoia or whatever you're obsessing about, is way more real and dangerous to your body, to your mind, than if there was someone in front of you telling you that they were going to hurt you or something. And that comes from being so anxious all the time that all of your attention is turned inwards, because it's more pressing than anything happening outside of you. And that's why you feel dizzy or sort of dreamy, because it's everything that's happening in front of you is surreal in comparison to what's happening. You're so focused on, I wouldn't say selfishness, but you're so focused on your mind that becomes the abstract, and this is what's real. And it's really difficult to describe and probably hard to relate to if you haven't experienced it, but I think that's a better explanation of the symptoms I've been having, and from what I gather, from what many of you on YouTube and sufferers around the world have been having. And his answer to this, and it makes sense to me, is that the way to break, there's no way to, if you're an anxious person or you experience anxiety, chances are you will experience anxiety for the rest of your life. Whether it's just going to happen. Some people just tend to think things over more, and be more anxious and worry warts or whatever you want to call them. But his solution to breaking the cycle of anxiety and thus lessening the effect, the physical symptoms, is not worrying about the anxiety. So not having anxiety, I guess you could say. And just, so when the anxiety comes on, just letting it happen, not trying to fight it. For me, I know, and many of you people will all the time talk about how they've had these symptoms for 20 years. Most likely, what have you been doing for that time is every time you have the symptoms, you think about, you worry about, you're anxious about, how can I make them go away? And that just keeps the cycle going. If you just let them come, and you realize that you're being anxious, but you're okay with it, and you're not spending every ounce of your energy trying to get rid of it and trying to fight it, and you just let it happen, it won't tire you out. It might still tire you out more than someone who has no anxiety and not a care in the world, but for those of us who that's kind of the way your mind works, I think the solution is to just let it happen. And that's why, like, for me, there would be times, and I'm sure many of you have experienced this, is you can sleep for a really long time, wake up, and feel like you need to go back to sleep after like an hour of being awake. And that's because your mind is so tired, which thus makes your body tired. And like an hour of being extremely anxious constantly can take up as much energy as someone who's carefree for a couple days. Like, that can tire you out so much. So yeah, and it seems like for me, My symptoms started after getting fluid in my ears, and there are some other health things that seem to set this sort of thing off. Like you hear about postpartum type stuff or after a death in a family. So it seems like usually this sort of spiral happens after an event or like a health that's detrimental to your health, or just something that could tire you out type of thing and keep you up at night, that sort of thing. So they're not usually random, but they can keep going indefinitely if you don't break the cycle. I kind of wanted to read a passage from this book. Okay. He's talking about an epiphany he had about his anxiety from this book. This is the day a light went on for me. I had tried so hard to get rid of the way I felt and worried about it, and the only result was I felt worse. Why didn't I just give up and allow myself to feel this way? Anxiety was not harmful in any way, so I allowed it to be part of my life. The battle with myself was over. I needed to do what someone who did not suffer from anxiety would do. The average guy in the street is not going around worrying all day. If he did, he would feel awful and drained. The average guy on the street is not thinking and focusing on one subject 24/7. If he did, he would start to feel detached from other daily things. No wonder I felt the way I did and seemed to be getting worse, not better. My body was just not having the chance to recover. So I think that does a really good job of showing how many of us who suffer from this feel worse. The harder you try to get over it, the worse you feel, the more tired you are. When the solution is to just let it happen. And that's what I've learned so far. And my anxiety has really been getting better. And a lot of the depersonalization has been getting better. Or what I called dizziness before. And it's still there, but you also can't let the physical symptoms scare you, because a lot of us have built up a lot of habits and reactions. So when the physical symptoms happen as well, it behooves you to just accept them and not try to fight them either, because that will make them worse. That will make the anxiety worse. That's all I've got to say for today. If you have any questions, go ahead, feel free to inbox me. And hopefully I can help as many people as possible. Thank you.